and supportive.
Hi, everybody. I want to welcome you to the last day of our business boot camp. I want to thank you guys for joining us. It's been a really great past couple of days with lots of really good information. I just want to thank a couple of our sponsors before we get started. Our headline sponsor, Perch, our keynote sponsor, House of Roll, and our boot camp sponsor, Delta Faucets. And we also have our exclusive media sponsor, California Homes, Susan McFadden and Linda McCall, who will be joining us this evening at the closing party. And then also our stage sponsor, Caligaris, who is kind enough to help us put some furniture up there. So anyways, hope we all see you tonight, and let's get started. So our first speaker is going to be Sonya Zamora. She is principal of Fortune Design, LLC. Sonya Fortune Zamora brings over 20 years experience working with clients comprised of world-renowned businesses, high-end developers, and discerning clients in the commercial and residential arenas. She is a multi-platinum award-winning designer and ranks at the top of ASID designers countrywide year after year, as published in the ASID National Financial Average Reports. Her unique background, comprised of business, interior design, and her passion to improve others' lives, translates to a servant leader that understands the importance of exacting details, budgets, solid efficiencies, creativity, and compassion. Take it away.
Thank you. Thanks, guys, so much. I am honored, as always, to be invited to speak. And as always, I'm nervous as well, but I think that's a good thing because that means that it still matters to me so much. And I'm looking forward to sharing my experiences with you guys, and I hope that you get something out of it. So let me open up my presentation. Go to full screen. Okay, can you guys see me fine? You can see the presentation okay? Wonderful. So the topic that ASID and Julia asked me to speak on today was critical conversations within your firm. And that's such a huge area because I could have taken it in so many different ways, but I did try to listen in to all the speakers and look at the outline to make sure that I wasn't covering the same thing. And these are the things that I thought would be super important and the things that have mattered to me in my 20-something years having a design firm. And I love this quote that I wanted to start with because this is kind of sort of the humble background that I adhere to and I feel. And Zuri Zukov, in his book, Seed of the Soul, which I think is an amazing book, he said it greatly. He said, "Who among us is an expert in the human experience? We have only the gift of sharing perceptions that hopefully can help those on their journey." I thought that was so well put, and that's what I hope that I can help you guys do today. So our basic overall topics that I thought would be really great conversations to have within our firms is striving for excellence in all that we do. What do I need to do now and why? Again, there have been so many topics that were fantastic that have been covered through boot camp, and sometimes that can become overwhelming, or we just freeze and we end up not doing anything. So I really wanted to talk about the conversations that we'd have of what do we need to do now and why. Everything comes from a perspective of why do I need to do it. So I would love it within our companies if every decision we made, if possible, asking yourself, first of all, why am I doing this? Why do I need to do this now? So that's one area I'd like to cover. Another one is, what is limiting you from playing to your potential? I think this is a really huge question. And an area of focus is what are we doing in our company right now that's draining the profits? What could we change? Especially time is money. That's for our clients and for our company. Is your business matching the core of who you are? What is your legacy? This is the really huge question that excites me, because we learn so much in interior design and as professionals, which we need to know. They're all the exacts of how to run the business and all the exacts of being a great interior designer, of space planning and all the codes. So many specific things, but I really want to talk about really not playing small, thinking large, and really looking at your brand as your legacy, because you have an influence on so many people. You're a leader, and it's not just day-to-day business. It's really, I consider it your legacy. And that's the statement at the bottom. Your legacy is your brand. So think big and act small, because everything that leads up to our legacy is the daily actions that we take. So in striving for excellence in all that we do, we mentioned briefly, what do I need to do now and why? What is the focus? Again, this is about taking action. What is limiting me from playing to my potential? So basically, when I first got into the business, I thought that being excellent in everything, which I now know is impossible, but I thought being excellent in everything was knowing 100% about everything I was touching. Of course, we learn later on that that's why our trades and our vendors are so important to us, because we have to depend on them to be excellent, of course, to make us look excellent. So an overall view of what we need to strive for excellence is super important. So that doesn't mean we have to be expert in the knowledge of everything that we do, but we do constantly need to build on hiring our expert vendors, as we all know. I do have a couple of notes here because it's very important, some of the things I want to mention. So when we're talking about the excellence, I think that's something as leaders also that we set for our firm, looking at what do we need to be better at, and what does our firm need? Do we need right now more organization? So is that looking at better software? Maybe looking at project management software such as Asana, which I absolutely love. It's been a game changer for us. It's super easy to use. They are doing very well. I think Monday Morning may be a competitor of theirs, but Asana I think is fantastic. So that's a great project management software. So one of the questions to take action on is, are we lacking in organization and efficiency? And if so, is that maybe one of our biggest weaknesses right now? And focusing and taking action on that, because within the boot camp, there's so many great opportunities of information of where do I need to focus? Do I need to focus on my website to make that better? Do I need to do more marketing? Do I need to hire a videographer? Is it time to grow? Do I need to change insurance companies? So there's been a lot of information that's been offered to us, which has been fantastic, but asking ourselves, what are the areas that would really make me excellent? Where do I think that is limiting my potential? So for instance, in our firm, if I think that we need more business to keep staff employed, of course, to pay myself, to pay everyone, and for healthy profits. If I feel like that is the biggest thing I need to focus on right now, then maybe I'm going to look at doing additional marketing or building relationships more with builders, depending on what our market is looking for. We specialize in remodels and renovations, not new builds like model homes. And so it's really knowing the focus and taking those and writing those down and taking action, like making yourself accountable to spend, if you can't do 1 day a week, then how about 3 hours a week? Sit down, write down, of course, what your action points are going to be and put it in our calendars and make an appointment with ourselves. That's what makes me stick with it. And actually, I have my assistant or whomever I'm working with. Right now, I'm looking at a team of executives because I know my weaknesses. So it's all about us knowing our weaknesses too. That's part of our focus. And so part of my weaknesses, I need a deadline and I need accountability. I need to know that what I'm doing is helping someone directly, or I'm not that motivated to do it. So I will even use an executive team members or assistants to hold me accountable. So that calendar, as well as accountability of maybe someone on your staff, that's what helps me on my focus. That's super important. On the strengths and the weaknesses, I also know that looking back, one of my largest weaknesses was playing it too small. And what I mean by that is not a showy statement, but I look back and when I had my greatest returns were when I took my greatest risk. So on the statement of what am I afraid of, faith and trust elevate humanity and create value for the benefit of everyone. I don't know who said that, but it was in my morning journal for reflection of what I think is super important for a business as well. And I just think that's so beautiful for the way that we as leaders not only have faith and trust in God for our business and where we take our staff, but the faith and trust in the people that we work with. So if we, like I said, talking about our vendors and our employees, to hold them at a higher level, a high standard, it not only energizes people because you think so highly of them anyway, it brings a higher level of even humanity for the faith and trust that we already have to have the people doing what we ask them to do. So for an employee, for instance, there's so much confidence given to an employee or an associate if you do put high levels of expectations on them, and we put the expectations of how we expect them to be. And again, that's just a big cycle for humanity. So I just thought that was such a beautiful statement for us to take into our firms. So this is a big one as well. What's limiting us from profits and time? So whether it be time for ourselves, or we can't seem to finish the project on time, or maybe we're not budgeting enough time, and that reflects the charges that we're presenting to the client. So as a sub of that, really looking at and asking yourself within your company, what are the cash or the profit drains? So those are going to either be, what are my expenses, and looking at your expenses closely and cutting some of your expenses out to run lean. Or where could I make more of a profit? Meaning, am I charging enough? Are we really covering everything that it takes to provide the service that is your brand of your company that you're committing to? Like the brand of our company is definitely 5-star VIP service. And when I say that, it's not a pat on our back of like, look how great we are. But what I mean by that is, I've learned I'm not going to let a project go, or I will try my best not to let one single thing fall through the cracks. And that takes a really long time. So we are not trying to churn through business really fast. And we are not a leader in low price solutions or a lower price budgeting firm. Because of the time it takes to do an expert level VIP, we know that it takes a ton of time. So within our time estimating, that's an area that can really suck so many of your profits out. And if you don't know all the details of the time estimating and you really have those covered, that can really eat up a lot of your profits. For example, there are so many small things that maybe until you encounter them, you don't even think of. So like, for instance, if you're doing a whole house for move-in ready, if you have, say, sheets and linens and duvet covers, that sort of thing that you're putting on the beds, who is going to take the time to take the sheets to the cleaners? Who's going to pay for that cleaning? Have you already put that in your time estimating? we don't want to nickel and dime the client to death. And so was that already in their budget? Because all these small little items will add up. So like even for your specification of portable lighting, decorative lighting, or light bulbs included in those. Like if they're not included in those and you don't have a lighting rep to help you, then you're going to have to specify for each one. You're going to look at the wattage, what is the kelvins, what's the room temperature there. So point being, as you can see, these are really detailed things that could add up and taking your profits away of things that you didn't think at the time to specify or account for in your time estimating. As a little side note, we are currently working in-house on a very detailed time estimating sheet. I've not seen anything in the industry. Of course, I've not seen everything in the country, but from what I've seen over 20 years, I've never seen a time estimating sheet that is super detailed that I think is really required. So if you guys want to reach out to me, on my website at fortunedesignllc.com. I'll put my contact information in the sidebar and just let me know if you guys are interested in doing more. And I will definitely, once we're ready, we'll share the information with you. And I'm sorry, somebody's.
Hi, can you guys make sure that everybody's on mute? Somebody's coming through and interrupting the presentation. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm kind of, I get scattered, like, where's this, look at the squirrel, that sort of thing. So thank you. So yeah, if you guys want more, because I really think that's something detailed that we're working on. So if you guys are interested in knowing more and kind of look at the loopholes that you think that we're looking at for more specification of time estimating, of accounting for those things, just reach out to me on my website and just say more time estimating information, please, and I'll get back with you guys. We are in the middle of working all of that, so it may be a couple of months, but we are definitely building it. So I'm super excited about that. Clarity in contracts, cash flow, profit loss, and balance sheets. So all of these go into your profit. So I think those are huge for questions for your company, especially the cash flow. So I think a lot of us know we have to keep track of our P&L and our balance sheets. But just even recently in meeting with my bookkeeper and accountant, I realized they weren't speaking the same language on cash flow. And I had been doing things by hand and in files because I would touch everything. So I knew how to keep up my cash flow based on a system I put in-house, but I thought it was super inefficient. And what it actually ended up doing, not only is it not a good system from not having it in your accounting, because what happens if you pay a vendor 50%, but your client pays you 100%? So in your bank, it may look like, or even your statements for QuickBooks or whatever you use, it may look like you have a lot more cash than you do. So really be on top of those guys, especially the cash flow, to know where you're sitting with your profits. And then the value equals profits. Basically, that goes again to your selling points. If one of your weaknesses that you were really haven't taken the time, and I'm guilty of this, we really have to work on this, of writing down and letting it be known in all your marketing pieces of what does make you different and why really your prices are your prices, why it takes the hours that it takes and what your values are, then they won't understand what your value is. So that's super important. Putting your value out there does equal profits, and that's part of your building your legacy. So, and the last, yes?
Yeah, we're starting to run out of time.
Yes?
Yeah, we're starting to run out of time.
Okay, this is my last slide.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you told me. This is my last slide, and it will take 1 minute maybe. The last question is your business matching the core of who you are? This is super important because this is your brand. And if you're not matching it to the core of who you are, I just think that can rob your joy, your energy, your light, and your gifts and talents that are specifically meant for you to share. And I think that Oprah says it best, of everything you do and say shows the world who you are. And that if we honor every day of how we treat employees, vendors, our clients and we make those choices that honor who we are, that we'll get what life intended for us and give back what was intended. And thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Sonya. That was wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is going to be Summer Meddock. Do we have you here, Summer?
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you. So hang on 1 minute. Let me do your introduction.
Oh.
Summer Meddock is a creative entrepreneur, the founder and owner of residential and commercial design firm Meddock Interiors, and Storehouse, a brick and mortar specializing in artisan-made home furnishings and lifestyle products. She also co-owns Sessions West Coast Deli, a multiple location fast casual restaurant alongside her husband, Matt Meddock, and co-founders and partners Beckham, Max, and Christopher. Summer is raising 3 little beach bums, Marley, McKenna, and Shay, which is by far her greatest joy and role in life, with a mindset of simplifying the daily processes and a heart for hospitality. This gentle powerhouse provides her clients and customers with an intentional, organized, and elevated experience. So hi, Summer.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
Great. So I know there's been some changes for you, some really big changes, but I learned about you through Rick Campos. And so, or actually, no, it was Michelle Lynn, right?
Oh, yeah, Michelle.
Yes, Michelle Lynn. Yep. So I wanted to talk to you, you know, what you learned about running a retail store. So what would you say were some of the challenges of running a retail store?
Yeah, I actually made some notes on some talking points to help kind of keep me on track, because I think there's so many things to share when it comes to a brick and mortar business. But I would say there are a lot of things that I learned in the process. And I would say from a challenge standpoint that managing the inventory and tracking the buying was one challenge for me, of navigating and figuring out how much of a certain product to order. Until we have historical data, it's really hard to know. It's kind of just a gamble and a guesstimate of, you know, do I think that my people really love this style basket or this scented candle or this style dining table? So that was a big challenge. And then the location, I think from the starting point, location is so crucial. And until we really understand how do we want to reach people and who do we want to reach, that's where the investigating starts in picking a location.
Good information. So I guess that leads into the next question. You know, what have you learned in the process?
So many things. So I think one of my biggest learning curves is to not jump in with all of the big gadgets and the top of the line softwares and all of the expensive things. It's, for me, I had to learn really quick that, for example, from a POS standpoint, a point of sale system, I jumped right in and I signed up with ShopKeep, which was a great platform, but it was so much more elevated than what I needed in the beginning. And so I was just dishing cash on this platform that I really wasn't maximizing its potential and what it offers. So starting with the Square Swiper, as simple as it seems, it for me, I ended up going back to the Square Swiper. It was just so simple and it's robust if you need it to be. So definitely saving money in those areas where you can, where there's levels or different tiers. Navigating the inventory, not really knowing what my hero products would be. That was a learning curve as well. And knowing or not knowing how the sales would differ. So it was kind of hard to track what my high months would be or what my low months would be. It really varied, and there wasn't a real consistency in it. So it required me to be more cautious in my buying, and knowing that maybe this month I had a really great month, but don't go out with a bang and buy all these extra, scents or SKUs or whatever that looks like, because I had a really great month this month. Next month could be different. So just trying to scale back a bit where needed, I would say.
How did this, did it dovetail with your interior design business? How did that work with that?
Yeah, it did. So I started my design firm, Meddock Interiors, about 6 years ago. And I always knew I wanted to have a place where I could work out of, where people could come visit, and just a creative zone. And I'm passionate about brick and mortar. So I knew at some point it would happen. And it's so funny because right before the pandemic hit, I literally was, on track to launch and open up the storefront, and the whole bit, the challenges make us better at what we're doing for sure. But I knew that from a creative standpoint, a visual standpoint, that retail had to be part of my business model, although they operate totally separate. So they really are separate entities, and I didn't set them up that way in the beginning. But they're different models. The funds, the revenue is generated on a different platform. It gets allocated different from a bookkeeping standpoint. So they really are two separate businesses. That was something I had to learn also.
Yeah, that's really interesting. What would you say were the positives of running the retail store?
Yeah, I met so many incredible people from having the storefront. I got to host special events, connect with other creatives and designers and local business owners. I also got a chance to meet face-to-face with potential clients, which was really neat because it was almost like this initial introduction, but not from that standpoint of I might hire you. It was very easy to conversate and
a little more organic, huh?
Yeah, organic, exactly. And really know, am I a good fit for them, and are they a good fit for our business? So that was a really neat aspect to it.
I like that too, because they're already in your store. They already kind of understand your brand and your aesthetics. And so it's kind of a nice setup that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, once they're in there, I found so often people would stumble in from the coffee shop next door and they'd say, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were here. And oh, this is so beautiful. It smells so good in here. And we would just chat and, just that community aspect. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about retail and storefront is you actually get to have conversation with people, and it builds community. Yeah.
It's not quite the same as ordering something online.
No, you don't get the experience. That's for sure.
No. So did you have an online aspect to that at all?
Yes, I did. And thankfully, that's actually what helped carry the retail part of the business through COVID was I had already set it up, not knowing if online would do well or not. I went ahead and added it and implemented that portion to my design website. So I would list all of the products, and I would offer free delivery for local clients or local community, and then discounted shipping, just to keep that option available for people that wanted to still shop but couldn't come in the store because they didn't want, when we were closed, they couldn't. But once we started to reopen, I found a lot of people were still not comfortable, so wanted to have options. And it was great. The online, it was, for me, it was a game changer to have during that time period, for sure.
Thank goodness, right? So I know that you moved out of state. So does the online, do you still have that going?
I do, but during the transfer of moving, so we're out in Park City, Utah now.
Mhm.
So the plan is to relaunch out here. And we are working on a retail project at the moment. It's very beginning stages. And it's a little bit different than the storehouse. It's a new concept. So I'm excited to start really fleshing that out and see where it goes. Yeah, but online, it's still there. I'm just not, I haven't put a lot of time into it.
You've been a little busy.
Yes. But that it'll be, I'm looking actually to bring someone on to help with content curation, imagery, web management, social media management, because it's such a big part of the business, because we're visual to show that to clients. And it takes a lot of work. It's fun, but it's time consuming.
It is.
Someone.
Well, thank you so much, Summer, for sharing all this with us. Orange County, sorry to lose you, but you know, congratulations on your new adventure. I know you guys still have a little bit going on around here, so.
We do. Yep. Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, thank you. Well, best wishes to you, and thank you for sharing. All right,
I'll talk to you soon.
bye. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to stay on. Our next speaker is Kelli Ellis. Let me just make sure. Do we have Kelli? Yep, she's there. Okay. Hi, Kelli.
Hi.
Kelli Ellis is an award-winning international designer, artist, host, speaker, and author of the best-selling design psychology book, Do I Look Skinny in This House? An HGTV regular, she also stars in her own series on the Design Network, Design Therapy, and co-stars in Mid, Mod, Then, and Now. Kelli is the VP of Global Industry Relations for Renati and is based in Barcelona, Spain. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, how are you? Hi, Orange County. I miss you.
Right? Yeah, what is life like in Barcelona?
It's incredible. It's nighttime. As you can see, I've got everything lit up here. I'm 9 hours ahead of you. So but this is if anybody's traveled, this is dinner time now.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very, very interesting, very different. This is a perfect topic because I am working with a network now as we're working on a show that would be based here. But you know, obviously, and I've got my puppy here. She's joining me, maybe anyway, in and out here. As we Zoom, everybody's used to all of this, right?
Right.
So life is
up.
right, exactly. Life is fantastic, and I've realized that absolutely nothing is different in the television world between Europe and the States. That is definitely what I've learned. That production and sensibilities are very, very similar. As I've gone from one Netflix account to another that has definitely more Spanish. I'm exposed to different opinions and outlooks in the way that they film and shoot things. But the one thing that's not different is the talent and how you go about getting on television. So I'm sure there's people out there that always thought, I could do that. I could do that, or I would like to do that, and they don't know how, right?
Yep. So that's what you're going to tell us, right?
Yes. Well, I have had many friends, and some of you know I used to run something called Design Camp, and it was very similar to what you guys are doing. So congrats on this, and doing this virtually. I think it's fantastic. For business, it's challenging, and it is when you do it in person too. So there's,
Right.
it's no different. Yeah, no different. But this was a topic because we did have a lot of people that were very interested in doing more media. Now, gone are the days, I'm going to date myself here, but things have changed since This Old House on PBS, right? So, yeah. Some of you will be like, oh, I remember that show. And some of you are like, what? What show is that? I don't know that show. But I'm dating myself. And then, of course, we saw everything happen with HGTV in about 1994. And then I got involved. Yeah, I started off in TLC. So I did a show called Clean Sweep on TLC, and that was my foray into television. And I literally just sent in a tape of myself, and that's how it went. But this was before we had the phone and we had social media and we had the ability to create our own channels and do selfies, and there was no such thing. And, you know, videotape, like have a reel and have videos of yourself talking. What? That was foreign. So my advice now is very different than what it was before. Before it was like, okay, well, just find a student in college and see if they can't film you, you know, doing something. No more students in college, because you can get a tripod and you can hook up your phone and you can start taking videos of yourself. But the thing that does hold true is that you need to have camera experience. And it's not as scary as it used to be now, because we do take photos and videos and we take things for our clients, and we're used to FaceTiming and we're used to doing this.
Yes.
So yeah, the camera is not as scary as it used to be. But I do think it's really important because as you can see, some of the shows are really fun to watch on Netflix. One of my favorites is Dream Home Makeover by Studio McGee, who they're Orange County friends of ours, right? Everybody knows, and it's very fun to watch them, and they're very genuine, and we love them. And another friend of mine who's got a great show on Netflix now and HGTV is Briganne Jane. If anybody knows Briganne, yep. So somebody to follow on Instagram. She's got a new show called The House My Wedding Bought. So yeah, it's a fun show, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's what you're seeing is different concepts. So what the bottom line is that you don't have to be in a design competition per se. That there are some different avenues, but I would say one, be very comfortable in camera, right? So you do need to be able to put together a reel no matter what. Yes, no matter what, you need to put together maybe literally emptying out a space that you've designed that you think is great and loading it back in, or going to another space that you've done that you think is great and talking about why you chose the thing you chose. Even sitting down with a homeowner and doing something that's very similar to a mock show. Like, why did we choose this? I don't know. I said yes, you said no. Yes, but there was a compromise. Let's talk about it. And it's, a very fluid kind of interaction that you would see on television. You want to create something so that you have the footage, right? And I mean, even today, you can edit that right on your phone if you wanted to, right? You pull out your it's true. Pull out your iMovie, fuse together a few clips, and you're like, yeah, I've got a reel. I'm ready to go. But the people that would ask you for that reel are the people that you need to know about. So if you want to do it yourself, you can. You do not have to pay. I never had anybody do any of it. I've done 10 shows and I've never had an agent. Never.
Wow.
I've done it myself. Wow. And how you do that is that you put yourself on sites like Casting Frontier. So Casting Frontier is literally, I get 10 notices every single day for designer needed, designer wanted, audition. Put yourself out there. You literally can list yourself and be your own casting agent. And if you put together your videos, you have a reel, and you actually can submit those online.
That's amazing.
Amazing, right? And people are like, really? What? Now, I have some very good friends in the business that are fantastic publicists that these will get you, they will get you shows. And if you have energy and chemistry and they love you, then you're going to get the show. But this is a foyer. I would never not say to not hire. Is that right? I would never not say, no, that's double negative. I suggest if you have the means and you really don't want to do that yourself and don't want to run around doing auditions and castings, is to hire someone. And one of the best in the business, you can look her up on Instagram as well, is Ink PR. Her name is Courtney. She's fantastic. She does represent some of the best, and she used to represent one of the Queer Eyes. She is, and I remember when that whole process went down, she's fantastic. And she will get you the magazines. She will get you the exposure that you need, because you do have to start building a brand if you want to go in strong, right? And everybody knows we all are brands now. So let's not pretend we're not. If you have an Instagram, you are a brand. Right. And if you start posting pictures of your work, you are a brand. That's not a joke. It's not that you're trying to be an influencer, but you do want people to know about your work and what you do. And so if you have an Instagram account, you have started this process.
Curating that.
You start curating it. That's exactly right. And if you start putting video on there, then you start your Instagram television. Guess what? You're even more ready for throwing yourself into the casting pool. It can seem scary, but again, I think so many people now are so well versed in taking photos, in doing the videos, in talking about their work a little bit more freely, which is great to see. It doesn't have to be a daunting task, but there are the two routes. You can do it yourself, or you can hire somebody to do it for you and help you get those. And you have to decide.
There's a lot out in Google too. I mean, you can Google a lot of information and, how do I do interviews? How do I do this? How do I dress for on camera? And there's a lot
there are a lot of tricks, like raising your laptop, which I do because I do a lot of filming with my current company here. I work in antiques and arts. I get to travel all of Europe, talking to art dealers and antique dealers, placing antiques. Yeah, I love it. It's a dream. Get to do design with them, talk to different designers who use them. It's a different world, but even then I'm still doing a lot of interviewing and on-camera work. And there are some tricks, lighting is one of them. Placement, your laptop placement is another one. And when you can get out and go out, you want to be sure that you are cheating the camera. A lot of people walk around and they have their backs to the camera, things like that, little tricks that, when you're filming, you want to make sure that you're pretending. When I say cheat the camera, I mean, even though I'm talking to somebody over here, I'm actually not doing this and talking to that person, I'm talking to them this way, right? Wow, that's so cool. Why did we do that? So that you're always facing the camera in some ways, just little things like that would let a director or a casting director know instantly if you have experience or you don't have experience. Little tricks.
I think I'm violating one of them with the print, huh?
You are. That's okay. It would have been worse if it was stripes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've seen when somebody wears stripes on television and it looks like they're writing. Yeah. Yep. Not a good thing. But there are some things that you can do. But I think the number one thing that people need to think about is you can just jump straight into TV if you're really talented and you have a great portfolio. You can start submitting yourself. You can start doing those things, but they will ask for certain things. So you want to be ready. They will ask you, do you have a reel? Do you have an Instagram? Do you have a public presence? Unfortunately, fortunately, depending on who you are, some people don't like social media and they don't like using social media as a tool for business. But it is important when you want to take your persona and your design style public.
Yeah.
And this is the best way to start. And it is a nice tool. We didn't have that before. It was a lot harder, way harder, so much harder. You had to have a website. Yeah. Well, the website was a big deal. That was a big deal to have a portfolio online. Oh my gosh, wow. And now I'm designing, digitally.
Yes. Yeah. And living in Europe and traveling, looking for art and antiques. And
Yes.
With those opportunities, do you think those opportunities have come through that exposure?
Oh yeah, 100%. I thought you were gonna say, would they have happened without the TV? No. Yeah, I already know that. It's interesting because I have a lot of friends that we started off together on TLC, in the old days. And some went through and did more shows like myself, and some just didn't. And we've had conversations on how you parlay that 15 minutes. Right. And how you have the art lines, or how you have the furniture lines, or how you go on and do the licensing and the deals and all that stuff. And there is, I don't know, there is a lot of opportunities that affords you, or you can, there's so many ways to jump into the mix of it. If anybody knows my friend Meg Caswell, she just did one of the design competition shows. And she won one of those, and that boom, she's, that's her thing. But you do have to sort of make a mark, right? You have to decide what it is that is going to be memorable about you. So when you think about the shows that you love so much and why you love them so much, it's part design and it's also part personality of that person, right? Because you're not going to keep watching, even if the designs are incredible. If you don't resonate with the person and the designer, you're like, okay, next. I'm not watching this. I can't watch her utter one more word, whatever it is. But
Right.
you have to make sure that it's something that you really want to do. But I think having your brand, your online brand, is a good start. It's a really good start.
That's great. Well, I know that you have been here with ASID before and everybody loves you, and that's part of your brand. That, I mean, you're outgoing and your smile and everything. So thank you so much for joining us. I know this is a long ways away, so we're really
oh my gosh, I would never miss the opportunity to say hello to my OC friends, my ASID friends, and to do both at once is a pleasure. Thank you.
Let's see, are there any questions? Let's see. Anybody have any questions for Kelli?
If you do, yeah, you can reach out to me, speaking of Instagram, on designer Kelli Ellis. If you don't already, come say hello, because I'm very active there and always there. So I'm happy to answer questions.
Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you so much, Kelli. It was great to see you, and thank you for talking about this.
Yeah,
so,
I'm excited. I would love to see the next Design Star. Please let me know how I can help you.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right. Well, we'll say goodnight, and we'll see you later. Thanks so much. Okay, let's see. That was great. So our next speaker, do we have Holly Garcia here?
Yep, right here.
Great. Okay. Let me do your introduction real quickly here. I think I even lost track of time, so I apologize.
No, that's
Holly Garcia is known for her fresh, simple, elegant style. She has been working in the design industry for over 15 years, specializing in all aspects of design. After graduating with design and art classes under her belt, her design business began when she co-opened her first shop, selling vintage, one-of-a-kind furnishings and accessories. In addition, design services were offered, which helped her build a clientele, many of which she still works with today. From traditional to contemporary, making her clients' dreams a reality is what she strives for. Her specialty is getting to know her clients and capturing their true design style. And we asked you to join us because your staging business is amazing.
Oh yeah, you know what? I've definitely transferred over, Julia, to more staging, and I love it. It's definitely for me, and I know so many designers are really considering if it's for them. And so this is exactly why I think we thought it would be a good idea to talk about that, just to see who might be interested in doing it and if it's for them. And so feel free, if I'm talking and not touching on something, Julia, let me know, because I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, great.
First of all, I guess neither one of us are getting our own TV show with our prints. Right?
I know, right?
Darn.
I didn't think about that today.
That's okay. Okay, so yeah, as you mentioned, I did design for many years and I absolutely loved it. I kind of got into staging on a fluke, which I think a lot of designers have. A lot of designers are asked to help stage properties. I actually worked with a lot of house flippers back in the day, and we worked so hard on, you know, the materials and the tile and the lighting and the floor plan. And then I'd come in at the end and I'd see the staging and I was just like completely underwhelmed. So I said to one of my flippers that I work with, I said, let me just stage your next house. And he said, you're not a stager. You don't have any of this stuff. And like most other designers, don't we all have a garage full of like, oops projects, you know, that just kind of never worked out. So I'm like, oh yeah, I have stuff and I can get more stuff. So I started doing it. I kind of worked out of my garage, and I did that project, and I can't even believe I'm here now. I do about almost 400 projects a year. It's crazy. I have 100 projects right now in Orange County, and it definitely wasn't overnight. It just kind of, it happened like over the past maybe 8, 9, 10 years. So it started really small, and I never intended on giving up kind of my design job. But over the years, I've just come to realize I love it so much more. And it's so suited for me. And I think it's so much suited for other designers too. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about. I want to talk about, first of all, is staging for you? So I'm contacted all the time by designers who will say, oh gosh, can I shadow you? How did you get started? I've had a lot of different designers shadow me. Some of them loved it, and others were completely like overwhelmed and just underwhelmed, and it was, the process was too quick, too fast. And quite honestly, that's the only way you're going to make it in staging. You know, if it becomes a personal design project, that's when you're not going to make any money and you're not going to be successful. So, you know, I've had designers come and shadow me and say, oh my gosh, that credenza needs to be 6 inches longer, or that pillow's not quite the right shade of blue. And it's like, move on, girl. We got 2 more houses to do after this. So, you know, having that design background, I think, is so important, because I'll see different stage projects and you can tell when they've had no experience with space planning and how to like mix styles. And it's so great to have that background. I did a house yesterday with beautiful, beautiful high-end furnishings, and you can't just come in there with anything. Those are the hardest jobs when the homes are already furnished. So again, having that design background, I think, allows you to go in and be successful at that end project and not just putting anything with that. So it does help to be a designer for sure, and to have the space planning kind of background. And you know, again, I'll see projects and I walk in and it looks like Barbie furniture. Everything's so tiny. It's like nothing's big enough. So yeah, I think that a lot of designers get really turned off by the process. And I feel like for me, it's like, it's those true artists that just cannot wrap their head around what I do. So I always joke and say, you know, I do have a design background, but I'm kind of like a deal junkie. Like I get off on the speed and the quickness and how fast paced things go. And, you know, I got a call this morning and it was like, oh, your job's canceled. And it's like, okay, what else can we do today? Because, you know, I have 8 employees and we got to keep this train moving. And so that kind of fast paced kind of problem solving, you know, if you enjoy that, I think you'd be a great stager. I think, you know, quitting your design business and going for all staging is probably not the answer initially. Staging is definitely the wave of the future. There's so many people that talk about kind of virtual staging. I just don't see that going anywhere. Every time that they've done that, they always end up calling me in later because, you know, people are so underwhelmed once they get there. That it's actually not staged. So that can be a little tough. So I don't think it's going anywhere. And nowadays, I'm sure you guys have all realized everyone's becoming a real estate agent. And with that, you kind of have to get those contracts. And so these agents are offering free staging and they're paying for it themselves, which, you know, so even if you're a designer full-time and you have some product in your garage, and we call it a fluff and fold at work, but it's really kind of like a redesign. It's you going in with the client staff and moving things around, editing, adding pillows. I mean, as you know, as a designer, adding pillows, accessories, art, lamps, and a rug can totally change your room. And you don't need a warehouse to do that. You can honestly have a small storage facility. You can use your garage if your husband lets you. And, you know, you can rent a U-Haul whenever you have those projects. I mean, that's kind of how I started off. And now, you know, I have trucks and design vans and, you know, all of the necessary things to do this full time, but certainly doing it part-time, I think, just to see if this is your jam. Also, an important thing is to understand that like 99% of my jobs, I'm hired by the real estate agents. So getting those connections with the real estate agents, you know, the first few jobs I got after I had that initial inventory was me just calling friends or agents in the area and saying, hey, can I stage your next property for you? I'll do it for free. Let me just show you what I do. So for me, it's like I already made that initial investment in that product. And some of the agents that had me come in are still working with me now 10 years later. So it was definitely worth that kind of hit initially, just to get my name out there and to kind of show, you know, what stage you can do. So I think knowing that you want to do this project, you know, that you want to do staging, and knowing kind of like how to get started is kind of be the initial things. You know, once you get bigger, you know, again, it becomes more of, I think there was kind of a fine line for me, I know, where you kind of, I'm doing it part-time along with my design. And then you realize, like, this is a real thing. Like, I need liability insurance. I need worker comp. I need all of this stuff. I need a bigger warehouse. I need to buy a truck, because renting this U-Haul every single day, it's not making sense financially. It was kind of like the rubber hit the road at one point. My accountant sat down with me and said, if you're going to do this, you need to make some hard decisions here. And, you know, you got to, again, do the liability insurance. And if I were you, I wouldn't do a job under $2,000, because it just doesn't financially make sense for you to show up and take on this project. So I think, you know, when you're still trying to manage that design career, you know, there might be a point where you decide, like, I gotta go here, I gotta go there, or it's going to be more kind of a part-time kind of a redesign, fluff and fold kind of projects. Those are probably going to be more your jam than kind of the whole overall, you know, staging package and kind of all that entails. A lot of people ask me kind of like where I purchase my items. Again, to be successful, this is one thing I always say: there is not one piece of furniture in the world, I don't care where you get it or how high end it is, that was made to be disassembled, moved, and assembled more than about 3 or 4 times before it just breaks down. So I think as designers, we know how to mix in the high with the low, which again, will give you an edge with some of these other folks that just want to become a stager. You know, I go to market every year and I visit, you know, all the showrooms. You know, I spend my money on things that aren't going to break for me. Like, I'll do custom pillows and nice artwork. I'll go to consignment shops and get fantastic lamps. I think that that can really, really make your project look phenomenal. For my, like my case goods, yeah, I'm going to market and I'm getting them inexpensively, as inexpensively as I can, and not to ruin the look, because again, I throw away or donate furniture every other month, because it just does, it's not meant for this process. You know, my stager is amazing. He makes all of my custom sofas for me. And that's another thing too, is I know so many people think that, oh gosh, so you must have traditional pieces, contemporary pieces. You know, I would say 80% of my pieces, we can kind of go in any one direction. It's really kind of your accessories, your art, your pillows that are going to be that driving force into what the overall look is. So, you know, I just have learned, like, oh, knockoff restoration hardware track arm. That's a great sofa. It's squared off. It can go in so many different directions. My upholsterer will make one for me, like for $800. I think I own, I don't even know how many, and we just keep reupholstering them in different fabrics. So it's that kind of stuff. Again, it's the high with the low. We want a phenomenal high-end look for those multi-million-dollar properties, but spending too much money, you know, unfortunately, it's heartbreaking to see these items get ruined. And you almost have to know that, you know, they're going to be disposable. You might get 8, 9, 10 stages out of them, and then it's time to get rid of them and time to get something new. So that can be a little heartbreaking, but it's kind of fun too, because you always get to reinvest in your product, which is really great. So that is how, you know, where to purchase items. Again, I would go to market. Consignment shops are great. One thing a lot of people ask me is how to bill. A lot of stagers will bill per square foot. I bill per room, and I'll tell you why I do that is because it is so hard for me to get out and preview every property before I show up. And believe it or not, I've been doing this so long and we do so many properties that I'd say 9 times out of 10, I never even see it before I show up and stage it. And I know so many artists are like, how could you do that? This is horrible. You need to be there. But honestly, I throw in so many different, like I have so many tricks up my sleeves. I'll throw in several different pieces. And if this doesn't work, then that will. So basically, okay, we were talking about how to bill. I don't even show up because I just get so busy that that I just show up, and my agents then will need to kind of explain to me the house. They send videos, they send pictures, and in terms of how I bill, just so that they can wrap their head around the billing. The square footage thing was always tricky for me because most of the times I'm not even staging the whole house. If it's a 5,000 square foot house, if you break it down, I'm really only staging 3,000 square feet of the rooms. And again, it just gets a little tricky and people are confused. So I like to do kind of a general per space or per area is what I say. And this allows me to not have to go to every stage, but my realtors, so that I'm not wasting their time, their clients' time, can kind of give their clients kind of a ballpark. You know, they'll say, hey, it's going to be anywhere between, you know, $4,000 and $5,000 given if we do these areas. They'll then, if they're still kind of interested, my agent will send me videos or pictures, and then I can wrap up and kind of like fine tune that bid, get them auto proposal, and then we can go from there. What I do again, so that my clients, I'm not wasting their time, the agent's time, is I'll tell them, depending on the square footage, and I don't count for every space, I will say about between $700 and $750 per space or area, not including kitchens, if there's not a kitchen table, not including bathrooms. And I know some people say, how can you, charge $750 for a bonus room and a small living room? It kind of just equals out. And again, it's kind of a ballpark, and it really has done wonders for me in just kind of my timing. And so that I'm not spending so much time out looking at properties. I can easily kind of give them a ballpark, and if they're still interested, give them a price. And so then that's all good. One thing I'd love to mention about how to be successful in staging. It's your time management. Again, it's all about getting in there, making it look great, and getting out. I have a new stager that started with me a couple weeks ago, and she's like, I cannot believe you just staged this house in 2.5 hours. And again, I know people are cringing, like, how could you do that so quickly? But when you've done it as quickly as we have, as many projects as we have, it's like color by number. And it's still exciting, and it's still fascinating to me. And it's almost like a challenge. Like, I'm given this inventory, how can I make this house look fantastic? And certainly I'm out purchasing special pieces for different projects. And, I'm not only going to just use what I have. So there's a lot of that too, but it's been rewarding and challenging. And for me, it has actually been more lucrative, which is kind of cool. It's not for everyone, but I think it's for a lot of people. And I think a lot of designers out there would just get such a kick out of whether they do it full-time, part-time. It could just be a great addition kind of to what they do, for sure.
That's amazing.
Oh, Julia, I'm sorry. I can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry. I thought I clicked it and I didn't. That's amazing. I know I've dabbled in it a little bit, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, physical, very physical, very
Yes.
physical. I would say, as much as I want to believe I can point and tell people what to do, that's one thing I will say. I miss smelling good and being in normal clothes and driving around in a normal car, because I'm in gym clothes, I'm sweaty, I'm driving around in a van. That's one thing I miss about designing is getting dolled up and not looking like a homeless, yoga instructor all the time.
Right. With the car packed and carrying stuff around.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much. We have a couple questions here. Let's see. Summer is asking, I would love to better understand the initial investment dollar you suggest to begin a staging business.
Yeah. So, I'm so conservative. I would hate for anyone to go out there and spend a ton of money on this if they didn't know that they liked it. But again, I think as designers, guys, we can certainly go to Home Goods and get pillows, accessories, go to your favorite art shop, get some great pieces of art, and start with the redesign process. There are so many agents out there that ask me to do redesign. And because I have the $2,000 minimum, it doesn't make sense for me to take on these jobs. And it's like, I almost wish I had a kind of a sub branch of my business that just did that, but it hasn't made sense at this point. There's so many people that need someone like that to come in and spend the time moving around editing, adding. I think I figured out one time that my initial investment in a project, typically on time 3 of shuffling it around, that's when I'm making my money, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
So, and
It's paying for
again, when I
itself.
said that, yeah, and the pillows, accessories, and art, they're going to last a lot longer. It's any of the pieces, the upholstery pieces, again, I'm just getting them reupholstered a lot. It's really kind of the dining room tables and chairs that they're just not meant for all of that moving and taking apart and putting together. And so those are investments that are needing to be kind of replenished regularly.
I had a coffee table that the agent would go and sit at and drag their laptop, I guess, across it.
Oh my
I was, that table was brand new.
Oh, I know. We go pick up items, and I can see right where, well, this is where the real estate agent sat every open house and had their lunch, clearly,
Yep.
right? Yeah. That's something else too. I mean, just make sure in your contract that you have, some of the normal wear and tear is acceptable, but anything beyond that, we do. I mean, I try to be as flexible and cool as I can, because I want the business again, but every so often I'll go to pick something up and it's like, are you kidding me? Like, I got to get this cleaned, or I have to replace this. And so that can be an issue too. And so far, I haven't had too many problems with that. So.
Let's see. We have Marlene is asking, do you also bill according to how long they need the furnishings?
Yes. Okay. Good question. So it's so funny because right now, I'm sure you guys know with real estate, it's so amazing. Things are turning around so quickly that right now, I never thought I would do this. I'm doing a flat rate. People get so excited about that. A, and B, I have not had one person hit their monthlies, meaning typically what I do is a flat rate. I do an initial rate, and then beginning on month 4, it's 10% of whatever that is. So if it's $4,000, starting on month 4, they're going to pay me $400 a month until I pick up the furniture. I haven't had anyone get into their monthlies since COVID. It's been crazy. Wow. So for me, they get excited about the fact that there's no monthlies, but honestly, I'm like, there's not going to be any. Your house is going to sell in 10 minutes. We'll be back here in 10 days to pick everything up. So that's been a little bit of a challenge too. I feel like we've been working twice as hard doing all the pickups, and it's kind of the same amount of stages though, but we're working so much harder because we're constantly picking up. And it's actually been an interesting issue with warehouse space, because I have 3 huge warehouses right now, and we're kind of busting at the seams everywhere.
Wow. So. Let's see. I think that's it for questions. Would you be interested in sharing your contact info in the chat? They're asking for that absolutely. As well. Yeah, and somebody's asking about shadowing, so maybe if you could put that in the chat, they can follow up.
Absolutely. Listen, I would love for someone to have given me this opportunity when I was considering it. And I did both jobs for so long because I was so afraid to give up the design. And anyways, it's been fantastic. And if someone wants to shadow, I think that's fantastic.
Well, great. Thank you so much for taking some time out to share with us, and a lot of really great information.
Awesome. Thanks, Julia. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Bye, Holly. Okay, our last speaker is going to be Beth Whitlinger. Beth is a longtime member in our chapter. Elizabeth Foist Whitlinger, the founder and design director of Beth Whitlinger Interior Design, received dual Bachelor of Science degrees in Interior Design and Business Administration from the Department of Design Sciences in the College of Architecture at Arizona State University in 1982, which is where I went. She worked with several notable architects and interior designers in Hawaii, Arizona, and Southern California before starting her own firm in 1994. Her portfolio includes all sorts of projects from hospitality and commercial to high-end residential, for which she has received both national, media, and professional awards. In 2018, Beth established the Interior Design Coach, a professional consulting firm for interior designers. So welcome, Beth.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Julia. I am both a practicing designer of 40 years so far and a business coach, consultant, and mentor for interior designers. So I think I'm one of maybe 2 of us out there in the United States doing this right now, where I'm still doing design projects every single day. I am honored actually to be wrapping up this designer boot camp for ASID Orange County with something that most of you don't do and don't even know you should do or can do or anything about it, but it could prove to be incredibly helpful for your business. I'm going to do, I don't know if you guys have it set up so I can do a screen share. I don't see it on here. Hello.
You should be able to, yeah.
Okay, all right, sorry. So, sorry, it's not set up here. Sorry, just bear with me, I apologize. Medical share desktop, okay. All right, now, can you see my screen? Or no?
No, not yet.
Okay. Yikes.
Casey, are you there? Can you help guide Beth?
I apologize.
No worries.
This is
Well,
usually streamlined and works really well from the first time.
let's see. Let me get Casey.
Beth, let me take you off co-host and put you back on and see if that
Okay,
pops you in. Hold
all
on.
right.
Okay.
Oh, yay.
There you go.
Okay, all right. Okay, so here we go. Let's make this bigger. Yay, okay. Finally, all right. Hopefully you can all see this screen without it cutting out the right-hand side. Is it easy enough to see?
We see the ocean on the right-hand side.
Oh, yeah.
Something
Okay.
else on there?
Let's see. It should be full screen. All right, how about now?
Nope. Can anybody else see anything?
I see Catalina.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Ah,
Beth,
that-
at the top of your screen, try going into view. I think we have full screen view, which cuts off any text that you're trying to show.
It is full screen view, yeah.
Try taking us out of full screen.
Okay, let's see. Let's top one. Boy, I'm usually not the one that has the technological problems here. Okay, let me do the stop share for a second and see if I can. I apologize, everybody. That's awful. Okay.
No worries.
Share screen. Try this again. Ah, all right. Oh, that's exciting. So get rid of that. All right, so you see Catalina. Okay, there we go. Is that really Catalina? Okay, now what do you see? Do you see something different?
Catalina.
Oh God!
Yes,
Okay,
everyone is Catalina.
this is not okay. All right, I'm just going to wing it and whatever. It's just going to be okay. Let's just not do the screen share then, and that's just going to be the way it goes. So I'll just talk. All right, so there are many processes that businesses and other industries do as a natural course of their work that we in the design industry don't. Typically, most designers do not even know that most of these standard business practices are done in a manner of course in a daily business. Design school is woefully inadequate in preparing students for the actual business part of interior design. And most of you don't care about the business part. However, there are some things that are really important when you get into the actual business of conducting your business in a more successful way. As a result, many of you learned how to run your business through trial and error. This is obviously an incredibly expensive way to learn all this information, and it causes you to lose business that you could have otherwise obtained. If you have your systems and processes set up efficiently, you can implement best practices of our industry and do wonders to streamline your business and also ensure that you're establishing the most efficient way to conduct your business. Any way that we can all work together as an industry to help increase our overall professionalism helps us in the long run. Thankfully, the climate has evolved over the years where we're actually sharing now. This would never have been done 40 years ago, 35 years ago, even 30 years ago. Designers did not share information, pricing, vendors, nothing. You had to just figure it out on your own. But it's changed over the years, and rather than guarding our processes as secret or proprietary, our industry is growing and changing and making it all available for us to implement the most efficient methods and increase our profitability and actually the professionalism of our industry at large, which is good for all of us. So part of my thing was I'll go through the PowerPoint and then we'll have time for questions at the end, but I'm not going to go through the PowerPoint because it's not working. So there are some key items that I suggest you look at, and then you need to decide what format works best for you and what's beneficial to your business. No two designers are ever the same. And as a result, no two design businesses are going to have the same needs. So this really is about interviewing clients who don't hire you. Why would you want to do that? I mean, that just seems so weird. Like they said they didn't want to hire you. Why would you interview them? Well, finding out why someone didn't hire you can actually provide you with pretty valuable intel for future projects and for future project negotiations. If you keep an open mind, you can actually gather quite a bit of information. The answers to your questions or the questions that you ask can give you insight into what clients are responding to in other designers. So the more you interview, the better idea you'll have of what is resonating with potential clients and what you might be missing. Maybe it's something you offer that you just didn't mention. You forgot to mention, you got caught up talking about something else. Many designers actually assume that the public understands what we do, but most of the people you talk to about their projects, they have no idea what a designer does and how we help them. They just really don't get it. They think we pick colors and that's all we do, which is not all we do, obviously. You may offer a service, but you didn't emphasize your role in that part of the process during the discussion with the client. So they're not clear about how you link with maybe the architect or their builder or if they've hired a project manager. You really don't know until you start asking questions where you have holes in your presentation. And it can be fascinating, that information. I call them lost clients. So a lost client interview can really do wonders to expose these holes in your process. Maybe another designer that they interviewed focused on 3D renderings and how they're going to present all these 3D renderings. And you do that, or you can do that, but you didn't say anything about that, or you didn't focus on that, or you didn't make that sexy and exciting. Maybe they focused on how strong their relationship is with their vendors, and you have a strong relationship with your vendors too, but again, you didn't focus on that, or maybe you didn't emphasize that enough so that they really get that feeling that you're behind that. It could be how they issue specifications. Sometimes I spend a lot of time on specifications because most of what I do is custom design build, but some clients don't care about that. Maybe you spent too much time talking about that and the client doesn't even know what that means, or you didn't even mention it because you assume you're a designer, duh, you're going to issue specifications, and they didn't even know you do that. So you have to really listen carefully to what that lost client is saying to you to understand what you might need to add to your initial meetings. And I recommend keeping track of these interviews, because if you take notes, and maybe I have it all categorized in like a flow chart because that's what I do. And I really look back on certain things and and realize, wow, okay, I'm missing that. I'm skipping that. I realize that I'm going over that and it's not working. So I think that'll help you really narrow down what works and what doesn't. How to interview is almost as crucial as interviewing. You really have to focus on maintaining that client relationship, even though you've lost the business. So don't freak out about that. But over the years, I've gotten the best results with phone interviews. I actually recommend doing this right when the client has informed you that they've decided not to hire your firm for the project. So let's say you call them to follow up and they say, oh, actually, you hear that tone in their voice. And get your little paper out, get ready for it. You know, they're going to say, oh, we've hired another firm, blah, blah, blah. Practice in advance what you're going to say and have your format ready. Have that paper ready to go. If the information that they're giving you is they've chosen not to hire you, do it right then and there. Just say, I understand, and kind of launch into your thing. If they inform you via email, sending a reply email may get you a response, but I still recommend following up with a phone call. People are really eager to dismiss and just think, oh, you know, maybe it went to junk mail. I'm not going to respond to this email. It's too much pressure. I don't want to deal with it. A phone call is a little harder to ignore. That being said, they may not answer your call, as it can be quite awkward for a client after they have made a decision to hire another firm. But this is an excellent reason to specify at your every step of the way with them what your next step is going to be, so that you can communicate with the potential client and you have an excuse to follow up. So for example, you've made a presentation and you say, great, you're interviewing other people. How's Tuesday for me to call you and follow up? So they know you're going to be calling. You call, follow up, and they say, oh, I've hired somebody else. And you say, congratulations. I'd like to take 5 minutes of your time. And that way you've got a captive audience. If there's no way to reach your client, you can try old-fashioned mail, but it rarely gets a response. Unless it's there's something in it for them. I do have a designer client who sends a gift certificate from her shop, which makes them feel a little bit more obligated to respond and potentially gets them back into her orbit. I think it's kind of an expensive option for someone who didn't hire you, but she says that even people who have hired other designers will come in and buy stuff out of her shop. And so she's fine with that. Another designer has implemented a survey for all clients with whom she meets, sending a crisp dollar bill for their trouble. Her intro letter is light and humorous, and it furthers her firm's brand of kind of lightness and ease. That's what she's established as her brand. Her survey is 10 questions, all multiple choice. Her success rate is fairly high, and she's been able to fine tune very well based on the responses she's received, even from clients who hire her. So think of this. After she does an initial meeting, she always sends out this form no matter what. And half the people hire her, half the people don't, but she gets a lot of these back because she does the dollar bill and she has the funny little thing. Again, a little expensive, but it's $1. So, you know, if you really want to know, I actually just suggest the phone call. It's just easier. You have several options to set the tone for this interview. You can either do it yourself, which is typically what I do because I've got them on the phone, or you can have an assistant do it if you feel comfortable with that, or an independent person. Independent. So this independent person could be your assistant that says she's calling on behalf of your firm, but doesn't say she's with your firm. It's like a semantics thing. But I think people give you more candid answers when they feel like it's an independent person. Even it's a friend doing you a favor. Or when I started doing these like 35 years ago, I'd make my sister call people. So she would just, you know, say she was from her firm, which was a completely, you know, whatever, ABC firm, and doing these after interview surveys. And every single person answered her questions, which was pretty cool. But make sure you ask the right questions. And these, I suggest you have ready to go. Always wish them luck with their project and mean it. Focus on being professional and appropriate. You can say something like, I know the process of finding a designer is a hard one, but can be quite rewarding once you found the right fit. I wish you the very best luck on making your home fit the vision you have. So don't get weird, just be really professional and don't get emotional. Stay super neutral and friendly. If they sense you're trying to manipulate them, they'll just continue the call. They'll just say, oh, my kid's calling, I have to go, or something. Always introduce your goal. I recommend saying something like, our goal is to continually improve our services to our clients. I value any insight you may have relating to your search for a designer. Would you please take a moment to answer a few questions to help me to that end? I would greatly appreciate your time and assistance. Obviously, tailor this to how you actually speak. I always write a little more formally, and I'm kind of the multi-syllabic conversationalist, so sorry in advance. My mom was an English teacher, so that's my excuse. Some people will just decline to answer your questions. That is a given. But I found that most are actually happy to help, especially if you've established a really good rapport during the initial client interview. Maybe you connected on a personal level, you offered them some real basic advice or assistance, talked about your kids, something like that. They're more apt to have a conversation with you. And then the real thing is deciding what to ask. So here's some examples of questions you may want to ask. You might be balking at some of these, and you might find others that you want to ask, but these are just real basic, and refine these as you go along. I always add and remove questions as my ideal client has changed over the years. But here's just some examples. How would you rate the quality of our website and promotional materials? Was our communication easy to understand? How many firms did you interview? Did your architect or general contractor suggest a design firm? Did any of your neighbors or friends suggest a design firm? What types of materials did the other firms show you in their presentation? Did the other firms leave you any marketing materials? What was the determining factor in selecting a design firm? How did our pricing compare to other designers you interviewed? Sometimes they're reluctant to tell you, but oftentimes they'll say, I'm hiring this other person because you're too expensive. I hear that all the time, and I'm fine with that. How did our level of experience compare to the other firms you interviewed? Who did you hire? Because it's nice to know who your competition is. What was the one thing that stands out about the firm you hired? And would you recommend our firm to others? I always add this last one because it can actually lead to other referrals. Maybe they hired somebody because they were cheaper, but they say, oh, my neighbor was looking for someone and I really liked you, or I liked that you said blah, 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 and they're looking for that. All right, so finally, the takeaway. Don't be shy about asking them questions. If it's you interviewing them directly, tell them it may be awkward for them to answer your questions, but that you understand hiring a designer is highly personal. Your end goal is to improve your business, and their information could prove to be valuable to help you craft your business model into a more successful venture. It's really helped me. You never know when you may run across this person again. They may think of you if they run into difficulty with their project. They often hire you on, like they do me, as a consultant or project manager once it's been started with an inexperienced designer. I get a lot of those. They may refer you to an attorney who would like to hire you on as a professional witness. I get that a lot. I stand in as a professional witness in court cases against interior designers, unfortunately, all the time. I've also been hired after a client has hired another designer, worked with them, and then realized it wasn't a fit for one reason or another. It also happens that the designer they initially hire, typically because they're less expensive, is completely out of their league with the complexity of the project, and they may call you in. They may think that you can help that other designer, or they may totally want to take over the project. There's nothing wrong with that. So always stay professional and really make sure that you don't get emotional about the whole thing. You may want to end the call to them by asking them for a referral to someone they think might benefit from your services. At this point, you've got nothing to lose. So it certainly can't hurt to ask for other businesses. Getting a client this way is actually really good, especially if they have gone down the path of hiring someone else, because there's no better way for a client to learn the value of hiring a competent professional. Really, that's kind of a sad thing to say, but all right, one final word. Always remember to remain professional throughout the entire interview and afterwards. Thank them for taking the time to speak with you. Send a thank you note in the mail, the real mail with a stamp on it. Send a note and stay true to your brand. Make sure that you follow that all the way through. There's a lot to say for just remaining very above the fray and very professional. You may be disappointed that you didn't get the project. You may be mad at them. They may not fit your ideal profile. You may not want ever to work with them in the future. You may hate them. It doesn't matter. Even with that, you never know how your path could cross with them socially or professionally. So don't ever, ever burn a bridge, and always remain courteous and professional, no matter how they respond to you. So if they say no, whatever, just say, thank you. I really appreciate your time. And that's it. So thank you for your attention. Happy interviewing, and I'm happy to take questions.
Beth, that was fantastic.
Thank you. Sorry about the whole technological glitch. I had a really cool PowerPoint.
Oh, that's disappointing, but we loved it. I mean, that's just great advice, because you don't think about that part. You don't think about, you just kind of tend to like, all right, move on. Let's see. Adriel's asking if you could share those questions in writing. She couldn't write that fast.
I will, Adriel.
We have her
contact
you.
I will.
Okay. All right. That's how. Anybody else have questions for Beth? It's a great opportunity to ask her stuff right now. Nope. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Beth.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Okay, you guys, so that pretty much wraps it up for us. I want to thank all of the speakers. Everybody was fabulous. I'm always so proud of our community when we do this. Everybody's so sharing and so open, and they share their experiences and their knowledge with each other. And I'm very proud to be part of you guys. So thank you. Just real quickly, I want to thank the virtual Expo team, at-large director Jenna Robitaille, committee chair Adriana Doberstein, and the committee members James Schaefer and Ann Figueroa. Please, if you have the time, take a look at the virtual Expo. You scroll through, you see the names of the different branches or the industry partners, just click on those. They have links to product information. There are a lot of really great videos. There were a couple on trends that are current, trends that are predicting for 2022. So a lot of really great information. And then I also want to thank the boot camp team, membership director Katie Carlson, committee chair Audrey Duncan. And a huge thank you to Casey Sterling, our administrator, who keeps all of this going. And please join us tonight at the closing party at Perch. It starts at 6 o'clock. It's going to be a great party. Audrey's been working really hard on it. There'll be food and appetizers, a chance to tour Perch. There'll be swag bags, a directory that you can pick up in your swag bag, and then a very special in-person interview. California Homes Editor-in-Chief Susan McFadden will be interviewing one of our designer members, Molly Brett. So, oh, and also make sure on the boot camp website to check out the interview Rick Campos did from Design Biz Survival Guide with Riley Clausen, another one of our local design stars. So that's it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time. And hopefully we'll get to see you tonight. All right, everybody. Thank you. Bye.